What's up, YouTube? Hey, it's your girl Monique, aka Hidden.Survivor. If you're wondering why I'm like real hyped today versus the first video, today I am 3 years cancer free. God bless. All glory goes to God. For those that don't know me, which is probably most of you, 3 years ago I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, which for those of you who don't know, thyroid, we all have a thyroid. It's what regulates our metabolism and our energy, and it's related to our hormone system. It's part of the endocrine system. I'm not a doctor, so don't ask me what all that means. I just know that it has to do with hormones and metabolism, weight loss, weight gain, energy, stuff like that. So in this video, I just want to kind of share with you my journey from the time I found out I had cancer to what I had to do for treatment and what remission has been like for me and some other things. So before we jump into it, if you haven't already, just take a second, hit that like button. I'll wait. You click the like button? Alright, good. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please feel free to do so as well. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so when I upload new videos to the channel, you will be the first to know about it. And head on over to Instagram when the video's over, and you can follow Hidden.Survivor on Instagram and Twitter. And then also check out the Facebook page. So let's get right into it. March 31st, actually I'm lying, it was before March 31st. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer in March of 2015. Don't ask me which date it was, I don't remember. But it all started when I went to my doctor's office. I want to say in like January. I went to her in January for just a regular routine physical. It was my annual physical. I went to go see her and everything was fine. But I remember saying to her, you know, my neck doesn't feel quite right. And she's like, well, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. And, you know, in terms of, people ask me all the time, well, like, how did you know? Like, what were you feeling and what were your symptoms? I don't really know what my symptoms were. I know researching it and looking into it and then talking with doctors, some symptoms of issues with your thyroid could be that you're tired all the time, or, you know, some significant weight loss or significant weight gain. For me, I had been in an upward trend of gaining weight. So, but it wasn't anything like significant in a short period of time. Just over the years, I have been putting on weight. So I didn't think that was anything too strange or alarming. And I'm always tired. Always. I have problems with sleep. I have insomnia. So my sleep sucks. I'm always tired anyway. So that wasn't, for me, that wasn't a good indicator as to, hey, something might be going on with your thyroid. So just, I don't know, just, you know, they say nobody knows your body better than you. And I think in my case, that's just what it was. Something just felt off in my body. And I just kept saying to her, my neck just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel like my neck. And so she's like, oh, let me check it out. You know, so she does her little exam. She's like, well, I do feel a little something there. I was like, oh, crap. Like, I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting to hear, oh, yeah, I do feel something there. So she did her exam. She felt on my neck. And she was like, you know what? I do feel something there. I was just like, hold up. What? And so she said, oh, don't worry about it. She's like, I'll set it up so you can have a fine needle aspiration done, and they'll just take a sample of, you know, whatever it is, and we'll. I'm lying. She didn't even say all that. She just simply said, I'll send you to go get a fine needle aspiration. I'm like, what's that? She's like, they're just gonna check and see what it is. I was like, okay, that doesn't sound too bad. And nowhere did she mention, you know, she was concerned that maybe it could be cancer, and that was nowhere on my radar at that time. Now, this was at my appointment with my primary care doctor in January. So I left her office and I'm calling the office she told me to call to set up the fine needle aspiration. And I set that up. And that's exactly how I said it to someone. I was like, hi, I'm just calling. I need to set up an appointment to have a fine needle aspiration. She's like, oh, biopsy. I was like, no. A fine needle aspiration. She's like, yeah, that's a biopsy. I'm like, no. I was like, no. My doctor didn't say a biopsy. She said a fine needle aspiration. And she's like, that's a biopsy. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So in that moment, it really like hit me like, so we're talking about cancer. She thinks this is cancer. If I'm having to get a biopsy, at least that's just what my thought process was. So that was like a snap to reality for me. So I set up the appointment. I went in, had my fine needle aspiration done. Sorry. I went, I had my I got the biopsy done. And that process, let me tell you, it sucked. They bring you into this room. It's done with an ultrasound and a big, long needle. I'm not even lying to you. It was a really long needle. I'm not one of those people who is scared of needles. It doesn't faze me at all. What made this process so scary and hard was that they're like, you cannot swallow. When we put this needle in your neck, you cannot swallow. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So all I kept thinking, like, as soon as they said it, I'm like gulping, like, like, I was just like freaking out. I'm just like, me. And then I kept thinking, oh my gosh, they're gonna have a needle in my neck, and what happens if I do swallow? Like, they're gonna jack up my neck. And so, you know, I had to sit with like my neck. Don't mind my neck fat, please. So I had to, you know, sit there with my neck all the way up, and they took this needle and they, you know, stuck it. They didn't stick it in the side. They actually went straight in, like went straight in the front. And you know, they kind of, you're like that for a little while. It takes them a few minutes to find the spot, and then they have to take a sample of it, like the needle. And I think they might have gone in with like 2 needles actually, but they have to take a sample. Like, the needle is big enough that it can take a sample of the whatever it was that they were trying to take a sample of. I guess I had a lump on the thyroid, I guess. I don't quite remember. And actually too, let me give you a little history. So in 2007, I had to have an emergency open splenectomy. That's just a fancy way of saying I had my spleen removed. It got infected, and it had multiple cysts on it, and one of the cysts got infected, and it made me very, very sick. So from that surgery, they did like a whole bunch of tests all over my body, and from way back then, they found that I had a nodule on my thyroid and a nodule on one of my kidneys. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? What's a nodule? They're like, oh, it's nothing. They're like, most people have nodules somewhere in their body and they don't even know it. And they're like, it's harmless. It's nothing that you need to worry about. You know, we'll just monitor it, but it's nothing. I'm like, okay. You guys say it's nothing, so it's nothing. So every now and again, I would go back and they would, like, if something was wrong, like if I was really sick or something, they would go in and like just do a scan and check stuff and be like, oh, okay, well, you know, it went up a little bit, but that's nothing. There was even one year that they took a scan and like, oh, you know, that nodule on your thyroid, it even went down. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's a good thing. So in 2015, it had been some time since I had gotten anything checked, you know, like in terms of those nodules. It had been a while since any of them had been checked. So I went in and I'm doing this biopsy, and it was very painful. It was just daunting because, like I said, you have to sit there, your neck is up, you can't swallow, it hurts, and you know, at the same time, it's like, I want to see what you see. What does it look like? So my doctors, they were really great. They were really nice, very gentle. So they were like, we'll get back, we'll test the sample, we'll see what it is, and we'll get back to you with the results. So one day I'm at home in my bed, just relaxing. I get a phone call, and it's the doctor. He's like, I have the results of your biopsy. I'm like, okay. He's like, the results came back positive for thyroid cancer. I was like, whoa. Okay. What does that mean exactly? And it was really hard for me to hear that. And I was actually upset that he told me over the phone. I felt like that's something that he should have called me into the office in giving me that news. But he called me over the phone and he told me that I had thyroid cancer. And he said the next step would be to sit down with a surgeon and come up with a plan to have the thyroid removed. He said it has to come out. So I said, okay. That same day, after I got off the phone with him, my next call was to the surgeon, and I was in the surgeon's office meeting with him. And by the end of the day, we had set up a date for my surgery. And it was all so fast. It was such a whirlwind of events. You know, in the morning I'm getting this phone call, hey, you have cancer. And by the end of that day, I had a surgery scheduled for a few weeks. Or it might not have been a few weeks. It might have been like a month ahead. It might have been February when they called me and all this was set up. But same day I was told I had cancer. By the end of that day, I had the surgery scheduled to have my thyroid removed. And it was one of the hardest things to go through for me, because cancer runs very heavy in my family, and I lost my mom to cancer. So that was really, really hard for me. It had always been a fear of mine, even prior to me finding out about my own cancer diagnosis. My mom was only 50 when she passed, and it had just always been a fear of mine. I'm just like, everybody in my family gets cancer. Like, I know I'm gonna get it. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna get cancer. And in my mind, I was just like, I'm gonna be dead by the time I'm 50. Just like my mom, I'm gonna get cancer and I'm gonna be dead. I'm not gonna make it past 50. And it was really hard. I've lost a lot of really close loved ones to cancer, so it was really hard for me to deal with, and I just felt so alone. I felt like, wow, I have cancer. I'm about to have surgery to have this cancer taken out, and the one person I wanted there with me, my mom, she's gone. So it's like, it was horrible. And I'm the only one of my family that lives in Boston. All my family, they're in other states. So I just really felt alone and scared and just not knowing what to do and how this was going to turn out for me. And it was really scary. It was scary, and it was just, I was crushed. And the surgeon, though, he was real cute. Really cute, and he was really straightforward, and I hate to say it, he was a little cocky, which I was happy. I appreciated that he was so straightforward with me, because he was just like, this is what it is, this is what's gonna happen, this is blah blah blah. Like, he was just straight shooting with me. So I appreciated that, because he wasn't like skirting around the issue. He wasn't trying to be like, oh, it's gonna be like, he wasn't like babying me or anything about it. And the cocky part came where he's just like, I'm one of the best surgeons for this type of surgery. He's like, I've done however many thousands of it, I've written this about it, I've done this. I'm just like, I didn't ask for your resume. But he was cool. He was really cool. He answered all the questions I had about what to expect, and what the risks were of the surgery, and what would happen if I didn't take it out, and what other options do I have. And he was very open and honest and very clear with what all my options were, from doing chemo and radiation to doing surgery and to doing nothing. And he also reassured me too. He said, of all the cancers to get, thyroid cancer is probably one of the best to get, because it's one of the highest rates of survival with thyroid cancer. He's like, a lot of times, he's like, most of the time, most cases when people take it out, that's all they need to do and they're all set. He said, depending on how bad it is and how far the cancer is spread, that will dictate to how much of your thyroid needs to come out. And then he explained that to me. He said sometimes they don't have to take out your whole thyroid. Sometimes they only need to take out a piece of it or half of it. So he was explaining that to me. He was explaining if he had to take the whole thyroid out, that would affect my vocal cords and all these other parts. And then he was just like, I might even need to take out some other stuff. So he was really explaining everything to me, and he did it in a way that I understood it, and I understood what the risks were. He did tell me that if he had to take the whole thing out, and if he had to do X, Y, and Z, that I could possibly lose my voice, or it may alter my voice in some way. And he was very clear. And so I basically, I had a decision to make. What do you want to do? Do you want to have this removed, which is the best course to take in terms of completely getting rid of the cancer, or do you want to put yourself through chemo and radiation, which is really an overly aggressive treatment for the type of cancer I had and not necessary? Or do you want to do nothing? in which case this will stay, the cancer will stay in your body, and at some point it will, it will eventually spread. So, what do you want to do? So I said, take it out. Take it out. I had questions about what the likelihood of it coming back once he took it out, what that would be. And even with that, he was real straightforward and honest, because I'm expecting him to say, oh no, once we take it out, you don't ever have to worry about it again. He's just like, well, no. He's like, you can get cancer anywhere in your body. So we can take out the thyroid and, you might not get the thyroid cancer again. He's like, but you could get, it puts you at higher risk of cancer in other places in your body. So he's like, it's unlikely, but it's still a possibility. So I was like, okay, I understand. So after talking with him, I set up the surgery, and then I had to tell my family. So again, like I said, that morning, the endocrinologist called me and was like, you have cancer. That afternoon, I was sitting down with the surgeon, and by the end of business day that day, I had a surgery scheduled. So I didn't have time to tell anybody what was going on, what happened, and that I had cancer. So the first and only text message that I really sent out to my family was, I just found out I have thyroid cancer. Surgery is March 31st at such and such time. And I gave them whatever other details I had. So it was a lot to process, and I was so devastated. It was devastating for me. The surgery, after the surgery, recovery was rough, but not as bad as you might think it would be. I remember I can't remember if they said that they had to invert me to do the surgery, put me upside down. I can't remember if that's what they said they had to do, but I do remember, I think they did. They said they had to put me at an incline, so that my neck would be at the right angle. But I remember when I got out that I couldn't talk, and I was so scared because I'm just like, what does this mean? Does this mean I lost my voice? Am I just scared to talk, or is it just too painful to talk? What is the situation? And, so they came in and they explained to me that everything went really well. He told me he did have to take out the entire thyroid and all of its parts. He was like, it was really bad, the thyroid. He's like, it had to come out. He said it was really diseased. And the nerd in me was like, I want to see. I kid you not. I was legit like, I wonder what it looked like. I want to see. I was one of those people who, when I was a kid, if I had a tooth pulled or something, my mom would keep the tooth. And I would go back and look at it like, ew, look at that. I was one of those weird people. So when he told me about the thyroid, I was just like, I wish I could have seen what it looked like. But I was grateful that it was out. From how he described it, I was just like, well, it sounds like it needed to go. So recovery was rough because I'm out of surgery and my head is stuck like this, and I couldn't really bring my head down because I had all this stuff on my neck. So I couldn't, put my head down normally. And I remember I kept having to clear my throat Like they told me, you know, talk, see if you can talk. You can talk. Your voice should be okay. So I remember talking and it being all raspy. And I remember having a lot, doing that a lot, and that hurt like heck. But you know, when you just feel like you need to clear your throat, that's how it felt. So I kept doing that. And the doctor, when he first saw me, he was just like, don't do that. He's like, I can't remember if he said for the like first few hours or the first day or something, but he was just like, don't do that. So I was like scared because I'm like, well, I need to clear my throat. Like, you know, it gets to be like a real nagging feeling, and you're just like, I need to clear my throat. So I would just like drink water, take sips of water, because swallowing really did hurt. And I would suck on ice chips and stuff like that. And I remember before they discharged me, one of the nurses came in and she's like, cough. I was like, no, he told me not to. She's like, no, you're not supposed to for the first however, whatever. And she's like, but you need to cough. It's gonna help move your vocal cords around and stuff like that. And so I was just like like doing these little coughs. She's like, would you just cough? I was like she's like, all right. She's like, just do that every so often, you know, to get things moving. I was like, all right. And so I would do that every once in a while. And I wasn't in too much pain. They had me on like real heavy duty pain medications. So I wasn't in too much pain. So as a result of the thyroid having to come out though, our thyroids release a hormone. So I had to go on thyroid replacement, on a thyroid replacement medication, and that's something I'm going to have to take for the rest of my life. And since he had to take out the entire thyroid and all the parts with it, for the rest of my life, I will always have to take thyroid replacement medication. I'm always going to have to take extra calcium, and I'm always going to have to take extra vitamin D for the rest of my life. That sucks. It makes life for me a little bit more complicated, and I have to take extra precautions more so than other people. When going out, I have to wear sunblock when I go out, because one of the cancers, my mom actually had two types of cancers. She had a melanoma, which is a skin cancer, and then she had a sarcoma, which is either a blood cancer or a bone cancer. I can't remember. So as a result of her having a melanoma, and they never were able to find where it started because her cancer actually spread. She had stage 4 cancer. It was very aggressive. So for me, what that means for me is that I have to go through a lot of cancer screenings earlier than most people. So, you know, most women, they don't have to get mammograms until they're like 40 or 50 or something. I'm gonna have to start that very soon. People normally don't get colonoscopies until they're older, 40s, 50s. I've already had 2 or 3. I have to get skin checks every year by a dermatologist. I have to get skin checks every year by a dermatologist. What else? When I go to the eye doctor, like I have to let them know about my history of cancer, because when they do my eye exam, they have to like look extra hard and extra careful for any signs of cancer in the eye. When I go to the dentist, same thing. I have to let them know of my history of cancer so they can check my gums even more thoroughly for any signs of cancer in my mouth. Also, in terms of my skin, I have to wear sunblock every day, everywhere I go, whether it's cloudy, sunny, certain time, winter time. I'm supposed to wear sunblock, because I have a higher risk of skin cancer. It's pretty rough. It gets tedious, and when you're with friends or family or whatever, you're with other people, and they have like this, they can just get up and go, and you're like, oh well, wait, I have to like put on all this sunblock, and I have to take my thyroid medicine, my calcium, and vitamin D, and you gotta do all this extra stuff. It's really, it can get to you, and it does get to you after a little while. But I try not to get stuck on that, because why? I really try to just focus on the positive. I had cancer. I beat it. And I'm 3 years cancer free. That's but by the graces of God that I'm still here, and that I didn't have a more serious cancer. I didn't have to go through more aggressive treatment like chemo and radiation, or have cancer in a place where it couldn't be removed. So I was, and I am blessed. Also, part of my recovery too, after the surgery, I had to keep my neck covered for a whole year. It sucked. It really sucked. In the wintertime, it was fine because it's cold. You're wearing scarves anyway. But in the summertime, in the springtime, you want to look cute, and folks are outside half naked, and I had to wear a scarf. I got very creative with things, and I got to wear a lot of cute scarves, and I made them fashionable. I made it so I was comfortable with it. There was a point while it was healing, that my scar had a very, very small, like it keloided just a little bit, but or at least I thought that's what it was. And I went to the doctor, and I was like, it's turning into a keloid. She's like, no, I think it's just because where the incision is, it's like literally like in a crease in my neck. So it was just the way the skin was healing that it looked like it was a keloid. But if you were to look at me now, I mean, unless you knew me, or unless you have had thyroid cancer and you've had the surgery yourself, and you looked at me, you wouldn't know that this was a scar. Like there's virtually no scar. You would think it's just a crease in my neck. And the surgeon, when we were talking about the surgery, he did tell me, he's like, I'll be, because I was like, well, am I gonna have a big old scar on my neck? Because I know when they told me about the cancer, I went home and like looked at pictures of people who have had this surgery before, and some people had this big old prison tattoo looking type scar on the side of their neck, and like this real looking like Frankenstein kind of thing. And I just was like, I don't want to have this big glaring reminder every time I look at myself in the mirror of this cancer and stuff. So he explained to me that he was going to try to do the incision in the natural, we all have like creases in our neck. So he explained that he was going to try to do it, make the incision so that it was in one of those creases. And he did. He did a great job. If you looked at me, I'm sure you wouldn't know. I'm sure you didn't know until I just told you. And even now, and you're looking, and you're like, wow, it doesn't even look like a scar. It really doesn't. It just looks like my neck. So that's that's what the surgery was like. That's what finding out I had cancer was like. And I shared a little bit about my mom having cancer, and she passed. She had a really hard time with it. It's about to be 9 years since she passed. So, hi Angel. This is Angel. Say hi, Angel. Look at the camera. Yeah? No? She doesn't care. Angel was my mom's Christmas gift 9 years ago. She was only 2 months when we got her. And yeah. Don't ask me what kind of cat she is. I don't know. She's a fluffy orange cat. That's all I know. That's all I can tell you. Alright guys. The camera died. Which is fine. I need to wrap up this video anyway. I just want to take a second and thank you all for rocking with me today on my special day, being 3 years cancer free today. If you haven't had a chance yet, check out my first video where I'm introducing myself to you guys. I'm introducing to what Hidden.Survivor is and what it will offer you. I'll leave information from the American Cancer Society in the description box, so if you guys want to visit their website and just look up some statistics on cancer and get more information on thyroid cancer or any other cancer, or even if you want to donate to them, I'll leave some information from their website as well as a link to their website in the description box. And just thank you guys for rocking with me. This is really awesome. This is really special to me. It's important to me. It really means a lot to me, and I'm glad and I'm blessed that I'm able to celebrate being 3 years cancer free today with you guys. That's really awesome. Any updates for Hidden.Survivor? I'm still working on getting the website up and running. I am not a web developer, so it's all very new to me. It's all very foreign to me, and I'm teaching myself. So just be patient with me, and you guys have been patient, so I thank you for that. You guys can definitely still go check out posts that I put up on the Instagram page. I usually post to that daily throughout the day. I'll leave all that information in the description box also. Oh, don't forget to like the video, hit the thumbs up. If you don't even like the video, just give me a thumbs up to help me celebrate being 3 years cancer free. Just hit the like button, share the video, spread the word about Hidden.Survivor, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.